Let me take you back a time, 1,000 years ago, when things weren't really that different. In medieval Europe, you had to pay a mortgage to your fief, depending on where you were. You had to avoid the plague, and you usually had some guy entertaining you on a stage, or maybe in the pub, telling you some sort of story. So let me take that third example and go with it. Put yourself in Germany, where there may not have been fiefs, so you didn't have to pay a mortgage. So you only had two things that are similar, I guess. And you got a father who has two sons. So, one's younger than the other one. The son says, "Father, I want to learn how to shudder," because he's kind of a pompous guy. The younger son, he thinks he's all good. And he has no fear. That's pretty incredible. I mean, well, anyway, so the father mentions this to a buddy of his who happens to be a friar, and the friar takes the son in and teaches him the ways of the church, which is probably a good thing to do for your kids, give them some sort of education. And the priest shows up one day. He teaches the kid how to ring a bell, and he sends the kid up at nighttime. And the kid's ringing the bell, and the friar comes up, and he's dressed up as a ghost. And then the kid says, "Hey, you, yeah, you, what are you doing?" He doesn't appear afraid at all, and the ghost doesn't say anything. So, the kid, not being afraid of anything, pushes the guy down the stairs. He breaks his leg. As it turns out, it wasn't a ghost after all. Not a ghost. Goes back. Pops is really upset. He's not happy, not having this. He says, "You know what? You get out of here." So, the kid's only complaint is, I wish I could just shudder. I wish I just had fear. And the father says, "You get out of here," and sends him out. So, as he's just walking around, I guess just somehow he sees one man, and the guy says, "Well, there's some gallows where people are hanging, and that's pretty scary. And I dare you, I double dog dare you. How about you go and sleep under those bodies? And it's going to be pretty cold." So, the kid just goes there. I guess he's just sitting around. I mean, pillows dangling. It's windy. One of them falls down, and the boy's just kind of annoyed. He's just sitting next to the fire. He thinks like, "Oh, I'll warm him up," and they're swinging on, and the boy's annoyed. Anyway, one of them falls down. He's just really kind of annoyed. He's not scared at all. He's like, "All right, I'll put him back up." And, this is a Grimm's fairy tale. It's kind of gruesome. And so after that, he somehow gets a consignment with a wagoner. I guess a guy, just rolling around. And he says, "Hey man, you want to know if you're scared? Go to this haunted castle. There's nothing more cliche than that, and you'll be scared." And the king says, "If you can stay there for 3 nights, you'll get a whole bunch of money and the king's daughter. How about that for a deal?" And he says, "A whole bunch of men have tried to storm the castle and stay 3 nights there." And so the boy accepts the challenge. He goes up to the king. King accepts, offer acceptance. And he just wants to take 3 things with him. It's a fire, something like a sewing machine, and a cutting board. And that exactly, it's a lathe, which means to bluff. Or it's a machine tool that performs some sort of machine tool. And the first night he's there, he just hears a couple voices complaining about the cold, so he's unafraid. He says, "Well, why don't you just come and warm yourself by the fire? That's probably the best way." So suddenly 2 black cats jump out, and And seeing the boy calm, they propose a card game. The boy tricked the cats, trapped them with a cutting board knife, and I guess he ate them. So the boy tricked the cats and trapped them with a cutting board and knife. Black cats and dogs emerged from every patch of darkness in the room, and the boy fought and killed all of them with his knife. So, we're kind of in like this, you know what I'm saying? We're in this fencing scene against dogs and cats. So it was raining cats and dogs. And so then after that battle scene, he thinks it's time for a nap. And, suddenly a bed is walking around. And then, there's this weird scene, the bed just kind of flops on top of him, and he's unfazed, so he just pushes it over and sleeps on it for the rest of the night. And, this guy might be a sociopath, but that's okay. And as he settled in for his second night so anyway, let's jump ahead to the second night. Nothing happened during the day. And half of a man falls down the chimney. We're not sure if it's like horizontal or vertical, but half of it. And he's kind of unafraid. And he wants to help out the guy, so he goes back up to the chimney and says, "Hey, buddy, whoever's up there, send the other half down. This guy's, he needs to be, figured out." I guess this is kind of a gruesome and classic Grimm's fairy tale. Other body parts fall down. He just kind of plays bowling balls with them. It's almost like a Beetlejuice episode. And then on his third night, he hears this noise, and six men enter the room with a coffin. But he's not afraid, but he knows this is his cousin. It's kind of emotional, in a bad way. And he tries to warm him with his body, with his fire that he had brought. He closed the coffin on the old man. Came to see boy. He can knock an anvil to the ground. The old man brought him to the basement while showing the boy the trick. The boy split the anvil and trapped the man's beard in it. Then proceeded to beat the man with an iron rod. And then the man, desperate for mercy, showed the boy all the treasures in the castle. The following morning, the king says, "Hey, you got all the treasures? And tomorrow, you can marry my daughter." So the boy marries the daughter, but you know what? He's still upset. And his wife was getting frankly annoyed by year 3 that she had to deal with all this. I can't be afraid of anything. But so one day she gets some icy water, throws it on him, and next thing he knows, he's shuddering. But he still didn't know what fear was.